This very special episode of Star Trek Discovery is not sponsored by the Orville, available only on Hulu. Catch the Orville, Seth Trek. Also, not sponsored by The Expanse, a much better science fiction TV show that can be found right now on Amazon Prime. Every episode has been great. Please watch that instead of this. Thank you.
Nerdrotic.com.
Thank you. You're beautiful. Thank you. You are beautiful. Welcome, everyone. It's over. It's over, but we've got 3 episodes to go through. I'm going to go through the first 2 pretty quick, so don't worry too much about that. I'll try to get in focus. There we go. Man, that's going crazy. There we go. All right. And hopefully I can read my notes. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Nerdrotics. And yeah, I put in a little message. I am aware of the events going on in the world today, and this is to help you take your mind off it a little bit. Let's mock some really bad television, shall we? And there is so much to go over. I am going to do a full season review. I've been working on it. I had to put Picard aside to finish this one, hopefully by Sunday. Sunday, we are going to see it. I'm going to put everything else aside to finish this. There is a lot to go over. But we did get a return in a way of sound in space. I'm so happy about this that they decided to return. They almost brought back the tardigrades too. And as we know, the court case did not go in Anas Abdin's favor. And if you're not aware, there is a game creator named Anas Abdin. He's a pixel artist, and he was doing a game called Tardigrades, and he tried to sue CBS and Star Trek and Alex Kurtzman for plagiarism because of the giant blue tardigrade that travels instantaneously in time and space. Because CBS is a billion-dollar corporation, they were able to defeat Anas Abdin, and that's just the way it goes, and it's too bad. But in my opinion, they completely ripped him off. And you can see all my videos on the subject later. So the last episode we left off was Terra Firma Part 1. We're going to briefly go through Terra Firma Part 2, which is a Giorgio-centric episode. And even in the mirror universe, Michael Burnham is the most important thing. I think that's our big takeaway from this episode, and that the Terrans have become Klingons. For some reason, they want to die. They want to die with honor, but what they do isn't that honorable. Really, they're just awful people. And we're supposed to go through this whole mirror soap opera episode. So it was basically feelings in the mirror universe. Giorgio had obviously changed, but she only showed this change when she got there. She was the same a-hole Giorgio in their universe. I can't say the Kelvin timeline or whatever timeline Star Trek Discovery is in, because, well, be it real or not, in my headcanon, it doesn't exist. The entire episode was Saru. I don't know if that's his name in the episode, and I don't care. He does Emperor Giorgio's hair, and he does it. He makes it silky smooth, by the way, silky smooth. She empathizes with him and is able to get information that Michael Burnham is going to indeed betray her. Michael Burnham is trying to hold off I forgot what the coalition, which is supposed to be Klingons and everyone else. They're going to make their own federation against the Terran Empire. And she thought that Giorgio became weak at this point, and that's why she's going to kill her. Now, there's a lot of talk of Lorca in this episode, but we do not get Lorca because they can't afford to get Jason Isaacs back. And before I get much further, there was 2-part episodes, and essentially the final episodes, 11, 12, and 13 was a 3-parter. It was all done to save money and spread things out. Everything they did in these final 3 episodes could have been handled easily in an episode of television, but they just drug it out as long as they could, trying to stretch that dollar because they wasted so much in the first 2 seasons. I imagine next season will be shorter episodes or just everybody will be sitting on a bridge praising Michael Burnham for an hour, which is pretty much what we got, mix in some crying and some hugging. And there is certainly plenty of crying in the Mirror Universe. But I'd like to say that the Terran Empire is very inclusive. It's very diverse. It's very intersectional. And that is stunning and brave and powerful. And I feel empowered, even though I am just a horrible white male. I still was empowered for my sisters out there who can just be just as bad as men, which was, I guess, the whole point of this season. I'm not sure. Space Jesus ends up being Space Jesus in the Mirror Universe. Tilly gets to torture her in the Agonizer, and I just think that is how pretty much I feel. There's a lot of talking to us through the script. It's unintentional. So when they put Michael Burnham in the Agonizer, that's the one lone time where I connected with the character of Michael Burnham, because I was in an Agonizer watching this entire season. Although I enjoyed the Agonizer scenes way more than I should have. I wish they would have gone on longer, but they didn't. And there's supposed to be this big, long montage to show, like, they're trying to break Michael Burnham so she will give up her conspirators. And they show like a 3-minute scene of her denying meals and getting, Tilly is supposed to be this master torturer, and you expect her to bring in a toolkit. No, she just puts her in the Agonizer and presses a button. Master torturer there. She can press a button better than, well, most men, because all the men are incompetent in this universe anyway. Michael Burnham gives in. She snitches out her conspirators with Detmer. Detmer will now be known as Colgate toothpaste actor. Now, I don't know if she was actually in a Colgate toothpaste commercial, but she is a commercial actor, just like the rest of the extras who were cast originally to just be background. And then they got so much criticism, rightly so, because Star Trek is supposed to be an ensemble piece. Yes, we focused on Kirk a lot and Picard, but it was an ensemble piece. And it wasn't a superhero origin like we have sat through with Michael Burnham. So they decided, crap, we're stuck with these actors. Now they need to act. And the only thing they've ever done was, I've saved 50% on my car insurance. And wow, are they bad. And they were cast purely based on their identity, not by their talent. They just went and found a group of actors, and maybe they were the best person in that identity folder. And I'm not surprised nowadays they probably have a folder of just different races. I've brought it up before. There was that think tank that passed around this paper. Robert Meyer Burnett is the one who broke this for me anyway. And it is run by it's funded by the Gene Roddenberry Foundation. And it basically tells you what you can and can't write. And it's intersectional 101, essentially. And that's what this show is. It's Bechdel test, or however you say that, intersectional 101. So she kills all her co-conspirators, gives them up, but oh, what big surprise. She was going to betray Giorgio anyway. They have a fight by the way, they have a fight in a prison cell, and this happens a couple of times throughout the rest of the season. So the force field is something humans can't go through, but you can shoot in and out of. But sometimes you can't shoot in, but all the times you can shoot out. I don't understand that, but this is Star Trek, and boy, it gets worse. It gets much, much worse. So they have a little fight, and she kills Michael Burnham and then kills herself. If you don't remember from the last review, they were standing outside of the doorway, with the Guardian at the edge of forever, which is Carl, and he is in 30s clothing. He has the Star Dispatch because it's connected to the original series episode that has no connection to the series whatsoever. And so after she makes her decision, kills herself, she gets another life. Somehow she found some elixir and she earned another life. And this was a way to get rid of Giorgio so they can send her to her Section 31 show, which may or may not happen. And there is this big long goodbye. And then she finally walks through the portal. And then there's another long goodbye on the ship where everybody's toasting her for what feels like an hour. It's a slow motion, softly shot scene with a slow moving panning camera with people kind of moving in slow motion, looking very somber, and then laughing once in a while. And this is where you're playing to commercial actor strengths. They don't have to speak any lines. They just have to emote a little bit in slow motion to some Jeff Russo music, which, listen, Jeff Russo is very good at what he does. I think he's done some very good soundtracks. This isn't the best because it's probably, it might be decent music, but it's decent music with, which is trying to distract us from a smell. And sound cannot distract you from a smell. And this thing smells like shite. And it tastes like it too, which is a line from Star Trek Discovery that we'll get to. And then quickly we find out, slowly we've been finding out that the source of the burn is inside a nebula, and there's a ship, and then there's a distress signal, and they've spent 3 episodes trying to create an algorithm to decrypt the encrypted distress signal. I repeat, to decrypt the encrypted distress signal. So when shit goes down, I have to make sure that when I send my SOS, I have to make it as hard to find as possible to ensure my death. So Adira, who we are just going to call it Team LGBTQ. That's what they are, because there is segregation in this episode. They put the black people with the black people. They put the white women with the white women. And they put the LGBTQ people all together because they can't interact. Intersectionalism. And even when Tig Notaro comes in, she's always got to have a scene with Team LGBTQ because they are into segregation, like I said before. So we're through that episode. It was terrible. And then we have Su'Kal. Su'Kal is a Kelpian. I discussed this with Az on The Real BBC. I lost my mind, and I probably said some things on his channel I shouldn't have said. So I'll have to repeat them here just to be fair. It's not going to be nice either. So we start this episode, and they're still saying goodbye to Emperor Georgiou. There's the slow motion, camera panning, commercial actors emoting, and this is where I'm like, oh, they're just trying to stretch this out. This was originally supposed to be 10 episodes, and they're like, oh, we don't want to look like we reduced episodes, so let's just stretch everything out. And when you shoot a 2-parter, it can be like, like a single episode. There's a lot of bottle episodes. Does the Admiral ever go to the bathroom? Does he have a quarters? He stands in front of this screen the entire season. So they're still saying goodbye. And Gray comes back. Gray has been missing from Adira. And so we start the season. We spend a whole episode on Adira, and she has a partner, her boyfriend named Gray, who died. Trill connected to her, but now she sees Gray, but nobody else can, but they just believe her. And Gray has been missing, and that has been the plot. While she's fixing this algorithm, she's been agonizing about her boyfriend. Which, if you think about it, it's kind of an Inception woke thing, and it became that's right. It's not a straight relationship because she's non-binary and he's gender fluid. I'm pretty sure I got that right, but I don't care enough to really check it out. But it's almost a straight relationship. And now, by the way, Adira is Paul Stamets' child. Somewhere along the line, she became his child. I don't know if there was an official adoption or this some kind of creepy fantasy thing that Paul Stamets is having. But now it's his child. And he confirms this later. So she's agonizing about Gray. Gray shows up. She gets mad at Gray. Gray's, got a legit issue. Gray can't be seen by anybody, and Gray didn't know how to deal with that, but Adira makes him feel bad about that. Whoops. So Sukal is Kelpian, and automatically Saru is compromised, and they've been planting this seed for a couple of episodes that he's compromised as captain because he saw somebody else from his race. And so this distress signal is coming from a ship on a planet inside a nebula. This planet is made of dilithium. The planet is made of dilithium, the thing they're out of. So since the burn, the Federation has basically been sitting in the middle of space with their thumb up their ass. They haven't been doing anything because they haven't tried to find any other way to travel. The Vulcans and the Romulans from Nevar developed a way, but they kept the information to themselves because they thought it could be dangerous while everybody's suffering from the Daisy Chain or the Orion Chain or whatever it's called. And it's just ridiculous. Everything about this plot is ridiculous. So it's been 125 years since the burn. I don't know how long Kelpians live. Apparently a very long time. So there's a child on the ship. They see the distress message, and Saru recognizes that the Kelpian mother has I guess when a Kelpian gets pregnant, they get tattoos on their face. So he recognized that she was pregnant, and there's a child alive on this ship for 125 years by itself on a planet of dilithium surrounded by some crazy nebula. That's, remember, impossible to get into. They try and they fail, so they send Book's ship, which is a slab of metal that flies through. It's the ugliest ship I've ever seen. And he's able to get through, but then he passes out from radiation, and then they're able to beam down, and they beam down Culber and Saru and Michael Burnham. And when they beam down, they look different. So Saru looks human, and I think Culber was Bajoran, and I forgot what Michael Burnham is. I don't care. And they find the Kelpian kid there, and he's by himself. He's an adult, and he's crazy or on the spectrum. I'm thinking more on the spectrum. And it's a big he's in a hologram inside this ship. And it's like a nightmare scenario. It's kind of degrading. There's whales flying in the sky. There's a monster behind the door. And there's malfunctioning holograms all over the place from the Federation. There's an elder there. And there is just a ton of trying to figure out what's going on with this kid for 2 episodes. So he caused the burn. They don't know how he caused the burn. Well, he caused the burn by having a temper tantrum. He freaked out. He had an emotional moment. So, a retarded Kelpian destroyed the Federation. Oh my God. I was laughing so hard that my kid had to come in and see if I was okay. I was laughing so hard and so long when I found that out. Oh, no. Yeah. And just to let you know, they don't take it back. There's no like weird time anomaly. That's how the Federation dies. So if anybody thought the Discovery going 900 years in the future wasn't going to screw everything up, well, you were wrong. Alex Kurtzman found a way, and he did the impossible, and I want to applaud him. Because season 3 is the worst season of Star Trek Discovery, and that is saying something. That is an accomplishment. Because this thing is the perfect failure. It does everything wrong. It's Mary Sue storytelling. It's fanfic. It's Star Trek made by people who don't like Star Trek for people who do not like Star Trek. They're trying to make this Star Wars. They're trying to bring in every element. They rip off everything left and right. For Christ's sake, it turns into a one episode, we're going to get to it, turns into a Die Hard. Michael Burnham Die Hard, right down to her taking off her shoes. Yeah. So Saru is compromised, and he is in human form because they ran out of money to apply Doug Jones's makeup. That's my guess. And they're able to make the little Bajorn noses and whatever. So they're trying to talk to the kid and find out. Oh, by the way, there's a arbitrary countdown clock. They have 4 hours. It's very Chris Chibnall because of the radiation. There's a lot of radiation. So they took some radiation pills and they'll be fine, but they're starting to get scabs and everything. So they have very limited time to talk this kid out of here. And he has a little minor freak out. And that's how Michael Burnham figures out it's the burn, and then Culber figures out it's the burn. So how does a organic being have a temper tantrum and it ignites all the dilithium in the galaxy, in the universe? Is there a perimeter? It all happened instantaneously. So these things had to travel, whatever caused it had to travel faster than the speed of light. It had to travel instantaneously. Okay. I am not a scientist. I have been kicked out of 3 high schools. And we'll get there. But the last time I checked, even in subspace, that's not traveling instantaneously. The Discovery can travel instantaneously through its little mushroom poop network, but not frequency and most definitely not sound. But there might be an explanation. So planet dilithium surrounded by nebula with radiation that kills humans in 4 hours. But this Kelpian has been living there for 125 years. Originally, it was 120 years, but now it's 125 years. Not really sure. By the way, in a holo program, that is degrading. Yes, the technology is more advanced, but the holo program is degrading. I want you to remember that too. We find out Su'Kal's name is Beloved Gift. The elder says that part of the Kelpian lore is a child must face its fears before it moves on. You would think the Kelpian race would have completely changed because if you remember in previous seasons, they were not the dominant species on their planet. They were prey, but previously they were the predator. So they were predator that became prey that became coexistent with their former prey that was predator. You got that? Good, because I'm not going to repeat it. So you think their entire culture would have changed, but I guess not. They still, all the lullabies are the same. By the way, every man effeminate as hell. Booker, which is the closest thing they have to a real man in there, always carries around his cat, and he lets Michael Burnham fix his ship for him. Saru needs the elder to sing him a lullaby, a grown-ass man, a lullaby. So this monster is some seaweed Kelpian thing that he's got to face, but the monster is actually a guide to something else that we'll get to later. This is just the first part of, I think, 3 episodes here. Yeah, 3, yeah, something like that. Yeah, 4. We're doing 4 episodes. I can count. Okay. Tilly's captain. I said it. Tilly is captain. When Saru went down, he made Tilly captain. So she has a little snark off with Orion, Green Sarah B. That's Green more. What did I call her before? Green friendlier Sarah B. And the snark off is cringe. It's absolutely cringe. It's supposed to be Tilly acting tough, and then her character completely changes after that. But Tilly becomes captain, and what's the first thing that happens? Her ship gets boarded. Question: transporter inhibitors exist because I've seen them. So you just spent a bunch of time getting the Discovery up to snuff for the 32nd century. It got a complete refab, right? To where the nacelles, they call them nacelles. I've always called them nacelles. I might be saying it wrong, but it's been, decades? I'm not going to change it. The nacelles can now come off for some reason. But they didn't think about, because you can transport anywhere now. You can hit your little badge and transport into a bathroom and stuff. I don't know. Having some kind of system so people can't just transport onto your effing ship. Your one-of-a-kind ship that you said everybody's after. You better watch out. You got to be careful. You got to be careful. Oh, we totally forgot that people can just transport in your ship and take it over with guns. That's exactly what happened. The show is stupid. I don't even know what the name of this episode is. There is a something, and I don't care. It's episode 12. I can't read my writing there. This is Tripe. Maybe I put that. This is Tripe. That's the name of this episode. So at the end of the last episode, Michael Burnham is able to get off the planet, but Saru and Culber decide to stay with the child, or with Sukal, so he doesn't have another meltdown again and cause another burn, because he almost caused another burn. The Orion chain boarded the Discovery, and they have a bigger ship that was cloaked out there, and they have these little chains, and they wrapped around it, so it can't get away now. So Michael Burnham got onto Booker's ship, which had left to go. He went to go get her. He comes back, and the Discovery and the Orion Syndicate chain, whatever ship, disappears. They spore drive it out of there. They force Stamets to pop him out of there. They put a neural inhibitor on him, but they were still able to force him to jump, whatever. This is where they introduce Professor X. Professor X is there, Professor X with beard and a hair. And this is where the diversity quota is now complete. They have a guy in a wheelchair in the 23rd century. They say it's some genetic disease, or the 32nd century, I'm sorry. This was about 900 or 800 years after they were able to transfer Admiral Picard into a golem robot body. But this guy can't walk. Okay. They said it's because of the lack of travel. Why would you need to travel? You would have probably had that technology there. They are supposed to be more advanced than the Federation. This is, by the way, they're evil capitalists. Did I not mention that part? That's right. The Orion, Emerald, Green Syndicate, whatever they are, it's because of cash, because they're merchants. They're evil, evil capitalists. That is the villain of Star Trek Discovery 3. This is where we get into Michael Burnham Die Hard, where Booker actually says, "Save the day, Michael Burnham." So they get on the ship. He gets captured, but Michael Burnham takes off, and she's, going through tunnels, and she's got her communicator, and she's sabotaging where she can. They bring back the bad guy from episode 2, and I forgot his name, something with a V. And he's there too. And they're, she's, talking smack to him. He's talking smack to her. Just like in Die Hard, it's terrible. And yes, there is a scene where her shoes come off. Her fracking shoes come off. And it's just her crawling through the tunnels and succeeding. She fights off a couple of people pretty easily. In the meantime, Professor X has got Stamets captured. Stamets is trying to reason with him, figures out he's got kids, tries to talk to him on a human level, finds out that this is a good guy, that friendlier green Samantha Bee. I said Sarah Bee, Samantha Bee. Friendlier, greener Samantha Bee helped out when he was a kid. So he's loyal to her, but he's actually a good guy. But he's going to experiment on Stamets. But then you find out immediately he's not going to kill him or cut him open or anything. He's just going to do some DNA stuff. And it's the tardigrade DNA that's in Stamets' body that makes him able to use the spore drive. Remember that later. They're just going to make new tardigrades. So they make it sound like it's going to be this interesting scene where somebody's going to torture Stamets. And no, they just have some conversations, and you find out that the guy in the wheelchair isn't that bad of a guy after all. And then I got to thinking, oh, they didn't want to write him bad. They probably had every intention of making this guy an evil scientist who was going to, cut Stamets's skull cap off while he's still conscious or something crazy like that. And then they said, oh, wait a minute. In that paper I brought up, the think tank, the guide to intersectionality, one of the things they said was you have to write handy-capable people capable and nice. You can't write them evil. So they probably wanted to and couldn't. And this is where you write yourself into a warped corner because you're self-editing, because you're afraid to write anybody with complexity. Not that any of these writers can, because they don't have the talent. And you don't write them like actual human beings. That's why nobody can actually connect with these characters. Characters are the most important thing in a narrative, for me anyway. It makes me forgive a lot of plot holes because there's plot holes in everything. We all know there's plot holes in everything. But if you have a good character that you give a shit about, that's what you're focused on. But when you're not focused on good characters because they're all a bunch of blank pieces of wood, you start noticing glaring plot holes. And Alex Kurtzman and Michelle Paradise are very good at writing those. They are exquisite. Remember, they have 4 hours on the planet. Arbitrary countdown clock. I don't know how much time has passed. They have blinked out of existence. We don't know how far away they have gone. We don't know how long it'll take to get back. If they have to do it at warp, I don't know. They all want this planet of dilithium. And then while Michael Burnham is doing her Die Hard thing, we have this big negotiation with friendlier green Samantha Bee and the Admiral. And it's a reasonable conversation. She says, she kind of says, I want to go straight. You know, we're going to give up slavery. We're going to give up slavery. And we want to join with the Federation. We want to make money. So we can join with you. We can adapt. I don't even have to be the face of it, right? I don't have to be the face of it. We've made a lot of concessions. And then at the end, the Admiral's all, but you got to go to jail for your crimes. And, you know, when, and that's good to have Federation ideals. And if this hadn't have worked out, this would have been the worst decision possible. Sure, she's terrible. She even agreed to have somebody that she wasn't a puppet for. But then she didn't want to go to jail. So she's all, fine, I'll just kill you all. And she has the bigger ship. But the Federation stood to their ideals. That's great. So they tried to bring in a little nuance, shades of gray. And then they just, it was stupid. But everything she was saying was pretty reasonable, considering what she's done. And then, but this is the best scene. So they're eating food. And we find out that replicator food, she's eating an apple, and the Admiral goes, it's made of shit. And I'm like, best line, most descriptive line of Star Trek Discovery. Self-descriptive line. So yes, all the replicator food is made of their poop. And then he eats the apple. And I think there's a lot of underlying meanings there that we don't have time to get into right now, but I will in my video review. So Stamets doesn't get tortured. He has a little conversation with Professor X. Again, we find out Professor X is pretty cool. Capitalism is evil, and I love it when millionaires who work for a billion-dollar company or a multi-billion-dollar company make commentaries about capitalism, don't you? It's hilarious. It really is. So they open fire on Discovery, and the rest of the season is just this firefight and Michael Burnham succeeding. She becomes like a Bond villain. She lets people die slowly. So Tilly and the crew have been captured. They're held hostage, and they break themselves out because the genius, green, friendlier Samantha Bee decided to leave them with 2 whole guards when there's like 10 people there. And the commercial actors work together and get out of it, all while looking very pretty, not a hair out of place, and a perfect white smile. Is it Reese? I've already forgot their names. Reese is one of them. I think that's the Asian guy. And then there's the black communications officer. Then there's Dentmer, who is the cult. So we'll say insurance car commercial actor. We'll say Colgate toothpaste actor. And I don't know, Depends actor. And they take, oh, by the way, everybody looks like, all the bad guys look like Daft Punk. Just like the guys from Picard. For some reason, Alex Kurtzman really loves to have bad guys who look like they just got off a motorcycle or got back from or both. Got off their motorcycle, performed a Daft Punk concert, and then became evil henchmen who are easily defeated by women who are a foot smaller than them. So Joan, I don't know how to say her last name. It's whatever, Asawababa. Joan is the big badass. So Booker fights two of them, gets his ass kicked. Joan fights two of them and doesn't even break a sweat. And you could see that she's about 1.5 feet shorter than she's shorter than Michael Burnham. And they're trying to make her as the big badass. It's not like she's Bobby from The Expanse. Okay. We're just saying. Verisimilitude is very bad in this. So they are able to escape, but then the friendlier green Samantha Bee decides to turn off the oxygen, basically. Life support. But she decides to do it slowly instead of just shutting it off. She wants them to die slow. And we know this because David Cronenberg pops up and says she wants them to die slow. And then we never see him again. So while they're running out of oxygen, they somehow have a little oxygen thing that they're sharing. While they're running out of oxygen, they're telling stories to each other. They're yakking away. Blah, 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 blah. What have we learned I learned this from 1960s television. If you talk, you use up oxygen. But Joan wants to tell a story of how she held her breath for 10 minutes while hunting abalone. And Tilly wants to have a big, long story about her birthday and while they're all running out of air. So diehard Space Jesus Michael Burnham contacts Tilly and says, remember your birthday? Too bad there wasn't fireworks for your birthday. Out of that, Tilly was able to extrapolate that she was talking about the time when Tilly was upset about her birthday. This is Captain Tilly, by the way, who was commanding people, was sad on her birthday. So she went to the nacelles and had a good cry. And Michael Burnham found her there with some booze, and they played poker, and they got really drunk, and Michael Burnham didn't say happy birthday. Somehow, Tilly, and then she said, I wish there was fireworks. Tilly figured out that, I should go to the nacelle and blow it up while we're in warp, so it'll knock us out of warp. Okay. So that's what they do. They get a bomb somewhere. They just find a bomb. Because when you've got your prisoners running around, you just want bombs that are accessible, or you can make something into a bomb. So they all pass out, and then Joan is able to, by the way, at the end of one episode, 3 droids just showed up, and it's the AI computer with the British sexy voice. And they said they're there to help, and it looks like it's a big inspirational moment, and then they all just get killed. But one of the robots helps Joan, who can hold her breath for 10 minutes, which... I checked this, by the way, while the world record is an Italian man who did it for 24 minutes and 3 seconds. I don't know how the hell he did that. Most human beings can't do it for more than 5. But she's special. And she is able, believe it or not, they succeed. And everybody lives. They blow up the nacelle, which doesn't, even though they detached, somehow it was still attached. And they just popped right out of warp. And I won't even talk about now because when people watch The Expanse, they should go, yeah, they should all be like little spots of jelly on the side of the ship. Yeah, that should happen a lot. But I think dropping out of warp instantly might be kind of bad. But remember, there was another ship. Well, when the Discovery dropped out of warp, that other ship that was in warp with them somehow just came right back and was right there. How would they know where they dropped out of warp? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Book gets tortured again when Michael Burnham eventually gets caught, and they want to know the location, or they want to know how to get to the dilithium planet where the retarded Kelpian is, and who had a temper tantrum that destroyed the Federation. Michael Burnham knows where the planet is too, and I think they know that she knows, but apparently they forgot. So they torture Book, and then she breaks him out, gives him adrenaline. They fight their way out, kill a few people, a lot of action, which you can just kind of fast forward through. In the meantime, Michael Burnham has stolen a regulator badge. Now, the regulators are the Daft Punk guys. They work for the Emerald Chain, and they need to access. So 2 episodes ago, an Andorian was able to hack the entire Orion thing with a little hologram of a ball that he was playing with. But they can't hack this system, and they need to get to the core to reset the computer so the life signs come back on. In the meantime, Michael Burnham stole a regulator badge, which she was able to communicate with other people in the ship. And those regulator badges act just like the Federation badges, which that gives you access to the computer. So when the regulator badge was stolen, did they use it to track her? No. Did they deactivate it immediately? Do you think they would know if a regulator badge was stolen? There might be some kind of bio thing with it that if it's off the person it's attached to, you would immediately know. Nope, doesn't matter. So they need to hack the computer, but she's able to get into it right there. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Osira. Okay, then we get back to the Sukal Saru scene, which there's a lot of these. So in the middle of the action, everything stops dead, and you're back on the hologram planet, and Culber's looking at the space whales. In the meantime, Adira decided to disobey orders so she can be with part of Team LGBTQ. So she takes some more radiation pills, sticks them in her mouth, and beams down. The reason she does that was when Saru, Michael Burnham, and Culber beamed down, they couldn't access the pills that were on their body because of the hologram. It prevents them from doing it. Again, Saru looks like a human. Culber looks like a Bajoran, and they can't access their pockets. But the stuff is still there. But they suspected that it put their stuff in what a safe deposit box. I mean, like a locker, like at Disneyland. Does it do that automatically? I don't know. She brings down the radiation pills. It buys them some more time. So arbitrary countdown clock has been arbitrarily extended. And all they're trying to do is find out the source of this hologram, find out what happened to Sukal. He obviously has to face his fear. And everyone, I figured out what it was the first second we saw him. It's when his mother died. He freaked out when his mother died. And guess what? That was it. He freaked out. He had the weak male who is pretty much, again, on the spectrum, crying most of the time, afraid, 125 years old. We go through all this BS to watch his mother die, which we knew it was going to happen. And we saw what caused the burn. And it was him as a child screaming. That sound resonated through the dilithium of the planet, through the hologram program that was degrading, and it blew up every ship in the galaxy. Now, Gray, remember the boyfriend that couldn't be seen? Gray could be seen down there. The hologram, which was degrading, can somehow read Adira's mind, and everybody was able to see Gray. Culber, Saru, Gray was there. So Gray had some time connecting to people, then Gray had to go. Gray's whole purpose was to, this is the best scene. Before they found out the source of the burn, Culber wanted to see what was going on with the ship. He said, I tried to walk out there, but the radiation is much worse. Insinuating that when he walked back in, the radiation got better. Once you're radiated, you're radiated. It doesn't like deradiate when you get further away from the source. Okay. More stupidity. So they sent Gray out there because he's non-corporeal, and he sees it's a ship, which we all figured out, that's degrading, which we all figured out, on a planet that's very hard to get to. Remember, the Discovery could not get to it. It had to be book ship that went in one time and then another time to get Michael Burnham. So they saw the burn happen. It's a child who screamed, and his sound resonated through the dilithium, which blew up every ship. And according to Adira, the teenager, sound is a mechanism. And I guess it is. Again, I've been kicked out of 3 high schools. Sound is a mechanism. It absolutely is. A mechanism for what, though? Sound can still not travel in space, even subspace, because subspace is still in a vacuum. But apparently, this organic being in utero adapted with all the dilithium because it was born next to it, which sounds a lot like River Song, who was conceived in the TARDIS and was able to become a Time Lord because of that, which makes sense in Doctor Who. It doesn't make sense in Star Trek. So this kid was born next to dilithium and became infused in his DNA so much that when he has a temper tantrum, he can cause it to send a frequency. Is that what they were trying to say? Because they didn't say that. They made it sound like sound is a mechanism, and that sound caused the burn. They did it again. They effing did it again. Except this time it's not sonar in space. It's just sound. And again, I'll give them an out. Maybe they were trying to say that the sound created a frequency. There is a spot right there in my glasses. It's annoying me. That this sound might have created a frequency through the dilithium crystals, but it makes no damn sense. And it's the dumbest thing ever. So a retarded Kelpian destroyed the Federation. That's the end of Star Trek, everyone. The Romulans and the Vulcans live on Nivar. That story is over now, and nobody knows what the Klingons are doing. The Orion Emerald Chain Syndicate is we'll tell you in a second. So out of nowhere, the Vulcans arrive, or the Nivars arrive. I don't know how far they were. I don't know if they had dilithium crystals. I don't know if they traveled at warp speed. So I went back and checked, and the Vulcans and Nivar left the Federation a century ago. But they just figured out, Michael Burnham sent a distress signal, which was she sent a little message to her mom saying goodbye. And then 40 minutes later, there's an armada from Nivar when they couldn't go anywhere fast because there's no dilithium crystals, because there's no warp, and none of it makes any sense. Time and distance has always been lost on these people. So there's a big battle at the end. Michael Burnham fights green, friendlier Samantha Bee and kills her. And she says something like, I never quit. You don't have to quit, Michael Burnham. The plot armor you have, you don't need to. You just walk around and succeed. So Saru is, I'm going to rush through this at the end. Saru is so moved and he wants to help Su'Kal. Su'Kal feels bad for causing the burn. They said it wasn't his fault, but technically it was. It was his fault. And so he's going to take some leave and help him adapt on the Kelpian planet. Everybody's okay. Everybody lives. Oh, Tilly gives up her command. When Michael Burnham gets back on the ship, Tilly gives up her command. Oh, and they destroy the Emerald Chain ship by dropping the warp core and jumping out with the spore drive. How did they do that without Stamets? Well, so Stamets is a precious resource. So Michael Burnham ejected him off the ship so they wouldn't be able to take him, so they couldn't use the spore drive again. Stamets is very mad at Michael Burnham. So they're on the ship. The green friendlier Samantha Bee is already dead. They need to destroy the Emerald Chain ship, so they drop the warp core, and Booker can use the spore drive because he's empathetic. And they find this out from Professor X, who all of a sudden just switched sides, and he's part of the Discovery crew now because he had to fill out that diversity quota. And Booker is able to jump the ship. There's like a nanosecond of, is it going to make it in time? It's like, oh, you think they're going to kill Space Jesus? They're not going to kill Space Jesus. So they destroy the ship. They jump away. And remember that guy from the first episode we talked about, the one who waited 40 years so he could hang a flag? He was there. That's why this episode is called That Hope Is You Part 2, but it's actually Part 3 of the Sakal episode. Again, hope you're paying attention at home and keeping track at home. So Professor X is good now. And he says, oh yeah, he's Booker can talk to the animals and he's empathetic. So sure, tardigrade DNA, go for it. And he's able to jump. And then Michael Burnham becomes captain. Yep, Michael Burnham becomes captain. They get new communist uniforms, which look like Chi-Com uniforms. And they're gray and red. And it's not very subtle at all. And Michael Burnham is the captain of the Discovery. Saru is going to take an extended leave. They didn't say quit, so she just swooped in on his command. The Admiral was falling all over himself to help her. Everybody was just like, oh my God. And it reminds you of, I don't know if any of you have ever suffered through the Twilight films. I have, because I'm a dutiful husband. I'm a dutiful husband. Sometimes Mrs. Nerdrotic attends movies with me that she might not necessarily like because she's my date for life. And the same goes for me. So I'll go see her rom-coms that are insufferable, and it's because she wants company. And I sat through those damn movies. And Belle was her name, right? She was the main character. Everybody loved her when she was just an annoying so-and-so. She was the worst human being ever. She was vapid and devoid of character, and everybody loved her. It's the same thing here. So Michael Burnham becomes captain of the communist USS Bechtel Star Trek Discovery, and they are going to use the spore drive to get dilithium that they're going to be able to mine now and get it to everyone. The Emerald Chain is gone, and they're on new adventures, and that's how it ended. They ended it with original series Alexander Courage music, which just was icing on the cake, really. Icing on the cake. The first thing I thought of is my pal Doomcock. His head's going to explode when he hears that. And the last thing I wrote in my notes was communist uniforms. So, to sum up Star Trek Discovery Season 3, Michael Burnham succeeds. They go 930 years in the future. They end the Vulcan and Romulan story. They end the story of the Federation because a retarded Kelpian had a temper tantrum and destroyed and killed millions of people and destroyed the Federation. There's segregation 900 years in the future. All the LGBTQ plus characters have to act with each other, right down to Tig Notaro, who just magically shows up and plays Tig Notaro. She's so good at Tig Notaro. Saru was too compromised and effeminate to be Captain effing Tilly. And then her character changed and she's supposed to be all badass. This is somebody who couldn't even talk to people before. Oh, and not a dude in sight. Just not a dude in sight. I'm saving that one for my review because that's a visual story. I have a visual story I want to tell you with Star Trek Discovery. And that story is, holy crap, through everything, the weakness of men is something that needs to be dealt with. And it needs to be dealt with kindness because weak men can destroy entire federations, even from another race. Nice little allegory there. And at the end, they talked about connection, how people were separated and we need to be connected. And they threw up a Gene Roddenberry quote. And it's not Star Trek. I don't care how many. You can put the words there. You can put the logo there. You can put the brand there. You can throw in some original series music. It ain't Star Trek. It doesn't feel anything like Star Trek. They continue. I mean, I can't keep track of everything they copy. I don't know if they copy video games. They did through Picard, but they copied Die Hard, effing Die Hard. They copy The Expanse. They try to copy The Orville. They try to be funny. Problem is the writing is horrific and the actors are not good enough. The pretenders aren't that, and you get what you pay for. You get what you pay for. But this is going to get a season 4. I'm dumbfounded how this happens, especially now, the economy was good a few years back or a year back, but it is not going to be in the future. And like I said in my Doctor Who review, however you feel about the return of Luke Skywalker, and I'll repeat, emotionally, it didn't do anything for me really, but I recognize what it did for the fans. The fans had a brief moment of joy. That was great. But what it did tell us, it sent a very, very clear message that we are not tired of traditional heroes. And what I mean by traditional heroes is just traditional heroes. I don't mean, I'm not being specific on how they look or what gender they are or how they identify. I'm talking about the hero. You can implant whatever you want in the hero, but we're not tired of him. But the hero has to go through a journey. And Michael Burnham's journey is, you were right all along. That's Michael Burnham's journey. No journey at all. The rest of the characters have to take their journey to catch up to Michael Burnham. It's not a very interesting story. Sonequa Martin Green might be great in other things. Thought she was okay in Walking Dead. That's the only other thing I've seen her in. But she's not very good in this role. And nobody else is either. So, Star Trek Discovery is gone. Thank God. Batwoman is just around the corner. The Expanse is still on out there. And hopefully I can catch up on those reviews too. I got to catch up on a lot of stuff. The holidays they put me behind, everyone behind. And let's get to you guys. I hope you're all doing okay out there. Again, I am fully aware of what's going on in the world, and we'll let the non-authoritative sources that you trust out there take care of that, and I'll try to keep your mind off it. That's probably what I'm best at. Grimm's Math. Some would argue that I'm not, though, and that's okay. And I know you're out there. Kisses, Drecky. Grimm's Math, welcome to the proto-molecule level. Welcome to the channel, my friend. I appreciate your support. Raging Raptor for $1.99 in space. Everyone can hear you cry. I'm going to use that, and I will give you credit, Raging Raptor. I will use that in my review. Thank you for the $1.99. The great Mark C. For $5. Never seen an episode of Jodie's Dr. Pooh and the Turtis, and got rid of Star Trek Discovery after season 2 premiere on YouTube. Thank you for taking the bullet. You are most welcome. And let's keep in mind what a failure this show is. It's not trending today. Let's go check. I'll check right now. It's a season finale. Even Doctor Who was trending. And that was because there was a new companion. Well, let's go to Twitter. Henry Cavill's Superman. Somebody is missing. And some politics stuff. Sorry, I had to like one of Gina Carano's tweets. Jack Beers said it best. This is kind of the review quote of the year for me. I put it up on Twitter, and I said STD quote of the year. And he has a picture, a screen cap of Michael Burnham going, which is why we have to eject the warp core and blow our way out. And Jack Beers says, because big booms make STD fans look up from their phones. That's exactly what this is. I always try to give credit where credit is due. Mecha Random was the first person I heard say that Star Trek Discovery is something made for people with ADHD who are, checking their messages, and they can occasionally look up and know what's going on in the story because there's nothing going on. And I think that's a very apt description, to be honest with you. So we got Elizabeth Barlow for $5. Hail, Gary, can I say finding your channel helped distract from what's going on in the world? Yes, you can. I can at least learn how not to write from this drivel. Yes, this is, if you do everything the opposite of Star Trek Discovery, you should be able to write War and Peace. Oh my God, Tupac Shakur is in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong button. Tupac Shakur. I knew you were alive, buddy. For $1.99 says, props to the whole crew. Keep up the mission. I will, Tupac, and you keep making music. You damn genius, you. I miss Tupac. Not the biggest hip hop fan in the world, but I did like some Tupac. I did. I'm just trying to figure out how to say this name because I don't want to get it wrong because it's a $49.99 super chat. Thank you. Nomistank. Is it Nomi? Because it's G. Nomistank or Nomistank or Namas. Is it Namas? No, I don't know what that says. I'm sorry. I've kicked out of 3 high schools. Like I said, hail Gary, love your work. You need more merch. Thank you for being a great inspiration. Steven, thank you. I do. I need time to design it. I don't have teams of people. But I'll Mrs. Nerdrotic is on that. She's the merch manager. But she's doing her own job right now. And thank you for the very generous super chat. And I will abide. Jack Beers. I was just talking about Jack Beers. Jack Beers lives in my region. Met Jack Beers at a meetup at Comic-Con. Great guy. Has been all over Star Trek all year. Go follow him on Twitter. If you want to see basically a minute-by-minute rundown of every episode, Jack was on it. God, that was terrible. Just terrible. Kelpian in a hologram on a crashed ship on a dilithium planet in a nebula caused the burn because mom died. Mystery box inside of a mystery box. I hate this crap. Yep. You're a lot nicer than my description, I gotta say. Last Camel Stands for $5 Australian. Thank you. Thank you for the super sticker. Prayers to you. Prayers to everybody. Be safe out there. Keep your head in a swivel, okay? Samurai for $2. I've been waiting for this. I needed this. Oh, yes. And hey, listen, I'm tearing into this thing. Here's my plan. I don't know if I'm going to do it. I'm no Red Letter Media. I'm no Mahler. I'm no critical drinker. And, you guys know how much I love. I Critical Drinker and Mahler are geniuses on YouTube. But I'm going to do this to Star Trek Discovery. This is my visual. It's what I'm going to try to do in this review. Very slowly tear it to shreds because it needs to be. This kind of TV needs to stop. This drivel needs to stop. It is setting everything back. It is setting society back. It's making people dumber for watching it. And it's killed the brand. It's absolutely killed the brand. You cannot come back from this anytime soon. Now, I will argue that I think out of Star Wars, Star Trek, and Doctor Who is by far in the worst shape, and you'll get a video on that, a very short one, explaining that tonight or tomorrow. You can turn around Star Trek. It is possible. You could just say none of the Kurtzman Trek counted, and that's pretty much it, except for Picard. Picard did some damage. Star Trek Discovery can be wiped out of existence pretty easily. And I think they can do it. Because the biggest reason they won't do it with Doctor Who is because you'll be wiping out the existence of the first female Doctor, played by Jodie Whittaker, who absolutely failed Doctor Who, not the BBC. The BBC did too. Nobody would ever do that. But erase this stuff, I think somebody might. But it's going to take years. And the biggest problem is, sure, the hardcore Star Trek fans will be ready for it at any time. There's fewer and fewer of those every single day because of this show. You drove away a lot of the hardcore fans, and no normie is into this stuff. Now, maybe your garden variety average CW viewer, that's not the viewer you want for an IP that has billion-dollar potential. If you just wanted to make a CW show, make a CW show. You didn't buy Star Trek. You don't own Star Trek to make a CW show. You own Star Trek to make ships, action figure lines, massive toy lines, T-shirts, tchotchkes, very expensive models, very expensive ships. That's what you make this show for. And what did you do? You made everything ugly. Everything is ugly in this show. The ships look horrible. So you've damaged the brand so much that there are no kids watching this brand. So let's go to the ratings a little bit. I'm going to discuss the ratings. Star Trek Discovery Season 1 was on terrestrial TV. It was getting around 1.5 million to 1.8 million viewers per episode. It didn't go up, didn't go down. It stayed the same. The most important part was the 18 to 49 demo. That is the people who buy stuff, okay? That's the people the reason Star Trek was a billion-dollar franchise was because those 18 to 49s bought ships, bought action figures, bought shirts, bought all the books, wanted to know all the damn lore. And Star Trek and Doctor Who and Marvel Comics and DC Comics and Star Wars all thought there was this untapped female audience that would do exactly the same thing, that would obsess over the show exactly the same way the boys did back in the day. There are certainly a lot of women out there who do. Not talking about you. As a matter of fact, Star Trek and Doctor Who have never had a problem with a female audience. I've never seen that. They've a massive female audience for both. And they've driven them away. They've driven them away because this is bad. It's woke. It's filled with intersectional feminism. But they don't even do that right. They make the women look like arseholes and incompetent as hell. And it's because the writers are incompetent. But they were under this false assumption that audience was out there. It's not. The show isn't popular. Not enough people are watching it. So in that 18 to 49 demo, they get about a 0.1 to a 0.13. That is the percentage of people in the entire demographic. It's not the percentage of people within the amount of people who are actually watching that episode. That's the percentage of people who are watching the show in the entire demographic. And that number is 120,000 people in the United States of America, a country with 331 million people. 120,000 people from 18 to 49. So are you telling me that the other 800 plus thousand people watching, even more, 1.5 million people are over 50? Yes. There's no kids watching this show. It's old. Same thing with Doctor Who. It's an old audience. Most of the people watching it are reviewers and 50-year-old dudes who can't let go because Star Trek is part of their identity. I don't know. Star Trek isn't ingrained in the fabric of America like Doctor Who was ingrained in the fabric of the British public, the British consciousness. But Star Trek's the closest thing we have. And it's been systematically undone, dismantled, vandalized, pulverized by Alex Kurtzman. And now I've said my goodbyes to it. I said that last year. I'm not even, it can be frustrating to watch, but it's unintentionally funny as hell. Like this season, I laughed the most. And I said in my tweet, I think it gives Batwoman a run for its money. Now, it's not quite as funny as Batwoman is. And I think next season of Batwoman will be hilarious. But it's getting pretty close. Gary, the future depicted in this show is now going to be our future. The writers of this show have the same beliefs and logic as all three branches of government, says Nathaniel Larson for $10. Yes, and this show is a platform. That's why it doesn't really need to entertain. It just needs to sustain. They aren't interested in growing the audience anymore. This episode wouldn't have brought in any new viewers if they just watched this one. And they wouldn't, if Star Trek was a success, they wouldn't need to do things like put Lower Decks on Amazon Prime in America, competing against your own streaming service that apparently is having a very hard time getting off getting off the ground because Viacom has had to hire some help for Samantha Watts, I believe her name was. Lady Greymaster just told me that she needs some help now. Paramount Plus, the launch may not go off on time. And if it does, it's not going to be that smooth. And it's DOA. It's dead on arrival because Paramount Plus is just CBS All Access. They're just giving it a rebrand. That's all. And it's a shit streaming service. It's there's always sound delay. There's pixelization everywhere, artifacting everywhere. It looks awful. So that's why they have to put their other shows on Amazon Prime, because they need the money. Polaris sucks for 2 Canadian pesos. What a trash show. It really saddens me. Saddens me as well, my friend. Saddens me as well. But at this point, I'm just laughing at it. Arizona Anime Fan for $5, 2021. STD so vile. Main cast of characters specialize in torture in Star Trek. Not one comment. This show hates everything that made Trek great. Remember, you're right, Arizona Anime Fan, for $5. Remember the episode where they had the guy cleaning up the body slop of Nealon, and they said, "Oh, that's Gene." And they thought it'd be really funny that the guy who had to clean up slop of a dead body was Gene Roddenberry. It was supposed to symbolize Gene Roddenberry. Pup Shepherd for $5. I had to stop watching Discovery. It's like James Cameron's Avatar. It feels like an SJW promo video with space stuff happening in the background. That's exactly what it is. It's SJW propaganda with explosions. Thank you, sir. Ryan DeLucci for DeLucci for $4.99. Thanks for the escapism as usual. It is desperately needed today. You are quite welcome. Yes, it is. I need it too. It's really fun. You know, it's fun. I can't get into it. It's having conversations with your kid about this stuff. That's fun. Christian Delorme for 5 Canadian pesos says, "Hail, Gary. Ever been in a Turkish prison? Ever seen a grown man naked? Do you like it when scraps rubs up and down your legs?" Thank you for the 5 Canadian pesos. Christy Ann Solis for £5. Your reviews and live streams have been keeping me company on the bus lately. Love your work. Just a small way to show thanks for the entertainment. Christy, I appreciate it. I hope I made the bus rides better. Are you able to ride the bus? I see a British pound. Are you locked down, or was that in the past? I hope you are free to be you, and I appreciate the support. And when we can travel again, I will be in the UK almost immediately. I had a trip planned, had to cancel it. I had a trip planned last April, had to cancel it, so I'll be out there for a meetup and just go see the homeland. Last Camel Stands for $5 Australian. Star Trek Discovery is mental. It's bonkers. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Thank you for the $5 Australian. Christian Delorme for 5 Canadian pesos. Hey, Gary, have you ever seen a grown man named or naked? I think you meant to say naked. Yes, unfortunately, I have. Naked, he says, for $5 more. I gotcha. Shout out to Drunk 3PO. Shout out to Drunk 3PO. And he's there for $4.99, showing my support for my good friend. What are you doing, dude? Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you, dude. Congratulations on all your success. Everything you have done. Drunk, you've earned it. Okay? It's okay. You earned it. You don't have to feel bad about it. It's something you earned with your hard work. So enjoy it. Absolutely enjoy it. And don't, unsolicited advice for anybody who wants to do anything creative, any plan you have in your life, any goal. We still have goals. I don't do black pills here. Sorry, I'm not a black pill person. I figure we're going to forge ahead no matter what happens. And you still need to have goals in life. You still need to do stuff. Don't let anyone slow your roll, ever. And it sounds simple, But sometimes that means editing your life a little bit. Know what I'm saying? Peanut Brittle for $5 Australian. Let's all hail Queen Michael Burnham of the Federation. I'm surprised they didn't call her that. They might as well. Let's see if I can pull up. Let's see. Jack Beers probably has a picture of Queen Michael Burnham in her communist gear. There's there it is right there. That's good. Let's see if this works. It may or may not. I don't know. I didn't set it up in advance. Give me a moment. There you go. There is Queen Michael Burnham in her communist gear. Doesn't that look a little Chi-Com to you? It looks a lot Chi-Com to me. I think that's the kind of uniform they want us all wearing someday. Like I said, there it is, Dr. Evil. Right. Where was I? Thank you again, Jack Beers, for providing being an unintended producer of the show. Finbar Hooley for $5. I congratulate and celebrate your ability to watch Star Trek Discovery while being and remaining sober. It is a test. I have to call my sponsor after every episode. No, I'm fine. I did have to. I usually just kind of wig out a little bit in my group chats, or I'll text Az or Jeremy in the middle of the night. Jeremy doesn't want to hear about my Star Trek complaining, but Az will listen once in a while. And Doomcock too. Laughing Man for 5 Canadian pesos. So future Star Trek is now Dune, one planet with only resource for interstellar travel. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Laughing Man. Well done for 5 Canadian pesos. They're ripping off Dune. You see? They rip off so much shit, I can't even keep track. Brian Lewandowski for $5. Been a Star Trek fan for 25 years. Did not watch a single episode from the 23 weeks of Star Trek. I will stick to prior to 2005. Picard killed it. Yeah, Picard did the most damage. Star Trek Discovery is bad. Picard did the most damage to the brand because it was Patrick Stewart's idea to make Picard an entire show based on white guilt. Dr. Scott must be shot. Dr. Scott must be shot. Kill him. We can use the parking place. Sorry, that's from Rocky Horror. STD would write Davros as a lovable, misunderstood misfit with loyal helpers that help him further in his peaceful cause while exterminating folks. And they would have deserved it. You're right, Dr. Scott. Christian Delorme for 5 Canadian pesos. I picked the wrong week to stop sniffing glue. Yeah, I picked the wrong century to stop sniffing glue. Oh, no, I never sniffed glue. I never went down that far. I never, ever shot up anything. As bad as I was on drugs, I never put a needle on my arm, and I never sniffed glue. Jessica Butler for 5 Canadian pesos. I bet Alex Kurtzman is into leather bars. You bet? He seems like a bit of a submissive to me. A bit of submissive. Christian Delorme for 5 Canadian pesos. Canada loves you, Gary. Cheers. And I love the Canadian people. Very sorry about your ski instructor leader up there, but no, we love Canada. Here, I haven't been there in many, many years. I need to go back. Last Camel Stands for $5 Australian. Kelpian? Woof, woof, right? He's a Kelpian. Big Worm for $5. Hail, out and about and haven't watched this week's episode. Wanted to give support during the stream. We'll watch it later. You don't need to. You really don't. Keep up the great work. Live long and prosper. Live long and prosper, my friend. This show has managed to do that. I don't know how. I just don't know how. Only Roddenberry can be heard screaming in space. This is Rob Atlas for $2 right now. Yes, I think I can hear him. Andre Antonio Gonzalez Caceres for 75 euro. It's Uruguay. UYU. We'll just say dollars. If I am born near the Klingon time travel rocks, I can time travel at will? Yes. Or make planets to time travel if I get into a tantrum near a time crystal? Yes. I was born near a freeway. So if I scream, all the freeways will explode on the entire planet. That's true story too. I was born in a building under a freeway on-ramp. That's basically what it is. That's what they said. So Kolber's scientific explanation for the Kelpian on the spectrum being connected to dilithium crystals physically is proximity. That's it. Proximity. But I think they meant the energy created by the dilithium crystal, but that's still the dilithium crystal. So that means if I'm born next to basalt, again, the next time I have a tantrum, all the basalt on this planet will explode all at once. Tyson Jaleel for 5 Canadian pesos. So now any empath can pilot the ship? Yep. Well, empaths that can talk to animals. Seems the first order would be to go back to Book's planet and grab a bunch. Forget dilithium. Yep. And if Professor X knew that when he was working for the Emerald Chain before he decided to become just one of the good guys, and they just let him on the crew, and it's fine. It's fanfic. It is fanfic. Everybody was friends. We all hugged. We smiled. And we had a lot of strong, powerful women being strong and powerful and empowered. And in their empowerment, they were stunning. It was stunning empowerment of power, of women doing things like fighting and being awesome and running around. And I didn't even mention, there was a big fight in the lift, in the elevator, in the lift. And you got to see the inside of the Discovery. And it's this cavernous, what the fuck? It's huge. And it doesn't travel in tunnels. They just, so the lift floats. It floats. And there's other lifts, and it creates like a little frame as it's going. And it looks like they're inside the Death Star. It's ridiculous. And they did that in season 2 as well. Soy Man the Sorcerer for £2. I thought you were going to delete your Twitter. I am. Uh-oh. We are experiencing some buffering. I forgot. I am behind on a lot of stuff. I didn't say delete. I said leave. If I keep it up, it'll be to share stuff, but not interact. Soy Man Sorcerer for £2. So that is my intention. Things had gotten better on Twitter over the last month, but yesterday was a nice reminder of how effing bad that thing's. And I want to nuke Facebook as well. I have to think about it though. I have to think about that because there are a certain amount of people who don't get notified. If notifications went out regularly on YouTube, I would nuke everything, but they don't. So I use these for notifications. Parler was down for a minute today, but it was able to get back up. But that is my intention. Az and I are going to do it together, but time got away from us. M Tax Shark for $1.99. Thank you for the thumbs up super sticker. Morgan King for 5 Canadian pesos. As someone who has had ADHD, STD sucks big time. I preferred old Star Trek over this any day. Morgan, I have been labeled with that as well. Not saying it doesn't exist. It surely does. I think it's just ADHD is just a trait. I don't think it's anything. Well, it's not. You're not. There's nothing wrong with you. I was called hyperactive as a kid. I just was a kid with energy. That's all. Just a kid with energy. There is ways to treat it without drugs. You can, and it's basically it's a training you go through, and it works. It works. Sassy Marie, thank you for the $2 and the farting Japanese dog. Farting hearts. Nathaniel Larson for $5. Thank goodness you aren't Red Letter Media. You cannot even review Wonder Woman. At least Jay is hopeless. You are way better. Wow. Thanks. Yeah, I heard a lot of people talking about that they got bored with the movie, and they got 1 million subs. They're Mr. Plinkett. That is kind words, though. Thank you. To even be compared to them is an honor. Zathras for €5 coming to your streams is an equivalent of save friend and enter. Yes, save friend and enter. Belo. It's Belo, right? You're basically the faraway friend we just love hanging out with. I appreciate that. You can hang out anytime. It's all good. I've gotten a lot of kind words towards the end of the year, and it was kind of overwhelming a little bit. But I wish I could shake all of your hands. Yes, shake your hand. Human interaction in person, and maybe I can someday at a meetup or something. Fear of FEMA for $5. I can't imagine this Trek will inspire a new generation of scientists like Real Trek did. Yep, and you can tell that's what they're trying to do, Fear of FEMA, because we need women in STEM, right? So this matriarchy, it's like they're trying to make up for all of Harvey Weinstein's wrongs in a single series of television. There is 3 women to every 1 man. Roughly, at the very least, it's 2 women to every 1 man. If there's a man in the scene, there has to be 3 women balancing it out. And it's noticeable. And what they took away is Star Trek was egalitarian, perfectly egalitarian. I don't care who the captain is. I don't care if it's a black woman or a freaking Filipino woman or whatever. I don't care who the captain is. I just need a good show, but I need some masculinity in my Star Trek, because Star Trek is a masculine show, and that's why it succeeded, because it had masculinity in it. This show does not have masculinity. It's devoid of it, and that's why it doesn't work. It doesn't need to be all that. Never did, never said it had to. I don't care what the people look at. I don't care how they identify, but I'm reminded of it every 5 seconds in this show. It's like Bill in Doctor Who was always reminding us in some way, she didn't say it out loud all the time, but she reminded us in some way every episode, multiple times an episode, that she was a lesbian. It's like, I got it the first episode. I got it. And what's the context of that? Well, the LGBTQ characters have to be around each other all the time. Why is that? That's so weird. Why don't they interact with anybody else? Why did they make Gray an imaginary boyfriend? Why couldn't they have just had him on the bridge, write the character that way? Why did they do that? Was it because the actor was limited? Because that's what I think. Archmage Frey for $5. 900 years in the future, and the only 3 aliens they run into are ones that have connections to the crew: Barzan, Vulcans, Kelpians. And they ran into, I'm forgetting the name of that alien again. The one that was in the short trek that was the ice cream girl. Is that the Barjan? Okay, that might be the Barjan. No, that's not the Barjan. The ice cream girl who could recrystallize dilithium, which they obviously forgot about. I forgot what her race was. It was one made up in Star Trek Discovery. One of those, a woman, there was that alien race, which I don't care about. I don't care enough to know. Monahar Rajan for $4.99. All liberals want to talk about is diversity and crap, but keep having female leads, and also women aren't a minority. They are the majority in this country. They, specifically white women, they're not a marginalized people, as they say it. I don't use that term. We are individuals. And life isn't fair. And the sooner I use my I statements, the sooner I come to terms with that, the better my life will get immediately. Knowing that things aren't fair, I'm probably going to get screwed over. You know what? I'm not a perfect person. I'm going to be put in bad situations, and I won't read them well all the time. That's life. People will stab you in the back. That's life. Learn from it. But don't be a victim of it for the rest of your life. And that's the worst message this sends to kids. So I'm glad kids don't read Marvel comics. Kids don't read DC comics, which is a shame because there's a lot of good DC animated series out there that kids do watch. Kids watch DC animated stuff. Kids don't watch Star Trek Discovery. They don't watch Doctor Who. And that's good because the lesson they send is be a victim. Wrap your victimhood around you like a warm blanket and live in it and never progress as a human. And you can't if you're a victim. Listen, all of us have had something bad happen to us. To varying degrees out there, something bad has happened to us. Whether you're a kid, abused, adult, divorce, death, neglected, whatever. We all got something, and we all have to move past it at some point. And that victim mentality is one of the most unhealthy things that's pushed by Hollywood all the time. And they want you in that mentality so you are at home, so you don't go out and interact, so you're insecure, so you rely more on escapism. Escapism's good. It's necessary. You need it. Times like this, we need it for short periods of time. Who are these people trying to educate? Nobody watches it. Crow T Robot. It's like that follows up my statement right there. Synergy right there, buddy. The Crow T Robot, the Satellite of Love for $5. Satellite of Love is one of my all-time favorite songs. I like the Jane's Addiction cover of it, though. Michael O'Hanlon, welcome to the proto-molecule level. I appreciate it. Kai MFS for $5. By the way, I've got something special. The proto-molecule level is just for support, and I thank you for supporting the channel, but I got something special for you guys this Sunday because I'm gonna open up the member stream to the proto-molecule level this Sunday. We're going to start doing that once a month. Kai MFS for $5. Bad sci-fi makes me sad. It does, because there's not that much sci-fi out there, Kai. And when it's bad, it discourages people from making more of it because it's so expensive to make. That's why when fantasy's bad, it's like you're never going to see another one for a decade. Going to read my book to feel better. If anyone else needs to feel better too, it's available on Amazon. How's that plug, Gary? Well, it's coming. It's coming. How about, can one of the Nerdrotics put the link in the chat for Kai's book, please? I would appreciate that. Kai has a book. We will go to it in just a moment. It's that Burns Man of Steel #1 Direct Market Edition. Oh, is that the Burn Man of Steel #1 Direct Market Edition on your spinner rack? Yes, Mark C. The brilliant Mark C for $5. It is indeed. It's all of them. It's the entire run on that on my rack. It's one of my favorite runs of all time. It's one of my favorite Superman stories. It might be my favorite Superman story of all time. Samurai for $2. Any chance STD gets canceled? Is it funded? It is funded for a season 4. They are currently filming it. I think it's done after season 4, and that's just my speculation. I've got nothing to back that up. Nobody's watching the show. Nobody's talking about the show. Is there a chance that they shut it down? Sure. It depends. Paramount's in bad shape. CBS is in bad shape. The Stand has been a miserable failure for them. Christopher Gorey for $19.99. Gary, an unfortunate side effect of a med I'm on is I can't tell what you're saying there. And I know you're trying to be safe, right? You're trying to be safe by not putting in the chat. I'll just say your content efforts in 2020 helped hugely Also, here for you. I'm here for you and yours in Texas. Christopher, a.k.a. the Good Reverend. Thank you, Christopher. I appreciate you. We will be going there soon. As a matter of fact, very, very soon. I've got to get some work done because it looks like we're hitting the road to go look at a house. So, yeah. And I hope you feel better, dude. I don't know what that is. And thanks for trying to keep it out of the chat. I'm sorry I couldn't decipher that there, but I hope you're feeling better. Lagnad won for 50 Norwegian krona. They should rename the Discovery the USS Queef. It's a what did I say it was? It was it's a intersectional class starship, the USS Bechtel. Phantom Boomer for $5. In Alias, Kurtzman hyphenated his name with his wife as Kurtzman Counter. Kind of a wuss. He did? He hyphenated his name with his wife? Oh, no way. Oh, that's cringe. Listen, if people want to, people can do what they want. That's fine. That says a lot. And why did he stop doing that? Is his ex-wife? Are they still married? Why did he stop doing it? Now, you know what? If you want to hyphenate your name, I think it's pretty lame to do it as a dude, but if you want to do it, it's your choice. It's your choice. My wife offered to change her last name to my last name, and I told her no. Because she had a professional name in her career. Plus, Beekler's not a great last name. I love my dad, and I'm going to carry it on. But she had a better last name than me, so it's fine. And my kid got my last name, so that's good. Monopoly Loser 2, welcome to the proto-molecule level. I appreciate it. But if your name's hyphenated, it's fine. However you want to identify, I got no problem with you. But Kurtzman doing that just for a short period of time says a lot about him. He's a tryhard. Kurtzman is the guy, and listen, we've all been this guy and gal at one point in time, but he's the guy who was never cool enough to sit at the cool kids table. And he had to buy his way in. And a good friend Jeremy reminded me of that analogy the other day, and that's Alex Kurtzman. A loquacious primate for $5. Hail, Gary. While the recent loss of my friend weighs heavy, and I'm sorry, I heard about that before. Sorry, buddy. It's fun to laugh at just how bad this show is at being Trek or entertaining sentient beings. Yeah. I would think that even if you left it on as background noise for your cat or your dog at home, they'd want to change the channel. Stetson's Gold. Thanks, Lucretius. Hope you feel better, buddy. I can't even pretend that I've seen a single episode of Star Trek Discovery. I just watch Cobra Kai instead, and that's what you should do. That's another recommendation. Glad to be a member, my dude. Stetson's Gold for £5. I'm proud you're here. Thank you very much. Ass Chabs for 5 Canadian pesos. Hail, thanks for watching this garbage so I don't have to. I almost pissed myself laughing when you said a retarded Kelpian had a tantrum and killed the Federation. Yep, that's what happened. It's that bad. It's that bad. Oh, Grimsmouth for $5. Harking back to the days of Rick Berman, Ira Stephen Bear, Ronald D. Moore. They could write and run things around the Star Trek Discovery writers. Star Trek Discovery writers couldn't write instructions on a pack of matches. Ronald D. Moore, Ira Stephen Bear, Rick Berman. Rick Berman was a guy I used to be so critical of. Man, I have apologized to him publicly. He doesn't know who I am, but I have talked long shit about Rick Berman. I humbly, regretfully apologize for everything I've ever said about you, Rick Berman. I had no idea. I didn't appreciate you at the time. I'm grateful for the time we had, and I hope one day you can forgive me for being so wrong. Because I have never been more wrong in my life than I was about Rick Berman. Dude ran multiple shows, varying degrees of quality, but they were all good, and they were all Star Trek. They were all Star Trek. Now, some were great. Some were just pretty good. But they are Shakespeare compared to this shite. Ira Stephen Bear, genius. Ronald D. Moore, genius. Nothing bad to say about those guys. Samurai for $5. So did the burn explode all the dilithium in the the universe, galaxy, or just the surrounding quadrants? What was the radius of the explosion and why in 3 different places? I don't know the answer to these questions. They needed 3 different places so they could triangulate it. They wanted to say triangulate a lot. Why in 3 different places instantaneously? So let's get back to the instantaneously thing that I mentioned at the beginning of the live stream. Was it a frequency? Because even if it's a frequency, as far as I know, again, I am not a scientist. I have been kicked out of 3 high schools. I've read a lot of science fiction. I've read a lot of comic books. But I don't think a frequency I don't think anything travels faster than the speed of light that we know of. Now they have subspace, which is warp, right? And by the way, there's a bunch of junk in subspace, and Booker was able to go through it and dodge the junk. Speed doesn't matter. When they dropped the warp core, it just dropped really slow and then it stopped. Whatever. Doesn't matter. So how did all the ships explode instantaneously when there was a source? The source was caused by a sound. That sound traveled outside of the ship with no atmosphere. There was no atmosphere on the planet, but they showed a shock wave, which could have been, I don't know. I don't know if there's an explanation, but I don't think there's an explanation for it happening instantaneously, just like when they got the 7 red angel signals all at the same time, except they were 150,000 light years apart. And the red angel signals were light, red light. Yeah, that's what we're dealing with here. Legalize adulthood for $25. Gary, on the Unsafe Space chat yesterday, I said that 2 of your best qualities are your humanity and your gratitude. That's why we love you, bro. Oh, well, thanks. I couldn't see, I saw part of the chat. I couldn't see all of it, though. And thank you for the kind words. You didn't have to do that. Legalize adulthood. Thank you for the $25. I appreciate that. I do. And I am grateful for you all. You will never know how grateful I am. We would have been so screwed if it wasn't for this YouTube gig. Did not expect it to be the one thing that holds everything down for a little while, but here we are, just dealing with it day by day. And thank you again. Bird of Prey 5 for $5. I'm officially blue pilling. All hail Michael Burnham. Tilly is stunning and brave. Oh, I loves us all. Jet Reno, so smart. Hashtag we are Starfleet. Namaste. We are Starfleet. Namaste all. Oh no, we've lost Bird. He's gone over. No. It happens to the best of us, buddy. You're going to go full shill Star Trek Discovery now, aren't you? I still love you, Bird. They got him. We might need to have an intervention with Bird of Prey. I know there's COVID restrictions right now, but I think this is a matter of life and death. Samurai for $5. I just tried to explain Star Trek Discovery to Trek fans that skipped STD. A gynecological doctor tells a... Oh, okay. I got it. You're trying to miss... Okay. So a gay doctor tells a transitioning ghost will find a way to make you seen by everyone. Confusion. That's a good description of what happened in this episode. An LGBTQ plus doctor tells a transitioning ghost will find a way to make you seen. There's symbolism there, Samurai, because people want to be seen. They want to be noticed. Well, that's usually why people have blue mohawks, tattoos. They want to be noticed. You don't get those things if you don't want to be noticed. Nothing wrong with that. I don't, that's why people wear attractive clothing, go get their hair done. They want to be noticed. That's why people sometimes transition, because they want to be noticed. And it's no different than a blue mohawk sometimes. Remember, Janeway let the Maquis join the crew. This is true. I know it was under extreme circumstances, but they were also bad guys, kind of, in the show. Sci-Fi Freak for $5, and that's one of the biggest failures of Voyager. That they could have played, it should have taken an entire season for the Maquis to adapt. They should have spent the first few episodes helping out, but then being completely mistrusted, locked in their quarters. And for a long, long period of time. It was way too quick. You're not wrong. But that was also 2 decades ago. 2 decades ago. And the writing has regressed. Why bother? Welcome to the Jaloja level. Hail. Right on. Member stream, Sunday, 10:30 a.m. Smooth Jam, California for £2. Ronald D. Moore kind of looks like George Lucas. He really does. He really, really, right down to like having no chin. Christopher Gorey for $4.99. I'm trying to figure out what this word is. Oh, hyphenating with your wife's name sounds like, I have trouble reading. Hyphenating with your wife's name sounds like a Kibblesmith move. A Kibblesmith move. Christopher, a.k.a. the Good Reverend. That is an absolute Kibblesmith move. Scruffy-looking space plumber, 45 for 5 Canadian pesos. The reason there are no Klingons in the future is because they all decided to kill themselves rather than be a part of the screwed-up future. Oh, I agree. They wanted to die with honor, with true honor. Chris Persia, the Canadian wrench for 5 Canadian pesos. If Sukhal blew up all the solid dilithium planet he was on, not blow up as well? I don't know. It's stupid. Michael Burnham's constipated face for £2. Oh, so mad. Why bother for £10? Thank you for thank you, Michael Burnham's constipated face. Star Trek Discovery doesn't deserve to get jalojed on by an adopted Mocklins, Jar Jar Binks, or adopted by Mocklins and Jar Jar Binks. The further it goes, the worse it is. But damn, you and Az make me laugh to tears. Aw, thanks. It's kind of easy. We've got some really horrific material to present to you, and it writes itself. I think Az would agree with me that this is the dumbest show ever written. And I mean ever in the history of television, ever. Since we have been writing on or drawing little pictures of animals on the walls of caves, this takes us back to that. It's if you don't watch it, it's hard to put into words like how many dumb things happen in a single episode. I skip a bunch. Michael O'Hanlon, welcome to the protomolecule level. I appreciate you. I'm just making sure. Bill Atwood for $5. Appreciate the diversion from political events. Too many other sources covering it ad nauseum. Yep. I figured there are far better people, more informed people than me talking about it. By all means, go find your informed source, not your authoritative one, your informed one, and find out what's going on. But here we just talk about some fun stuff. Sassy Marie, thank you again for the super sticker. Morgan King, as someone... Oh, I read that one. I'm just making sure I didn't miss any. I read that one too. So many dumb things happen in a single episode. That's why it's very difficult for even Like Red Letter Media, they kind of cracked it a little bit with Picard, how to review a whole season. I have been trying to crack that code too, and it's been hard because I don't want to leave anything on the cutting room floor. There's too much dumb to cover, and I think it's the sheer quantity of dumb. I mean, there's dumb in everything, but it's just the sheer quantity of it. I mean, every scene has something contradictory to Star Trek's values or canon or just good writing, just plain ass good writing. All right. It looks like I haven't missed any. And that's good. Fat Steven Seagal beat up Pablo Hidalgo for 2 Canadian pesos. The end with this TOS music triggered my man bun. Yeah, that pissed me off. That pissed me off at the end. That was too much. Desecrating Alexander Courage right there. And the best way to deal with this is just to cleanse the palate with either a better show or go watch an original series episode or Next Generation. That's all well and good. Do we have Kai's book? Do we have? Oh, yeah, by the way, I'm supposed to mention there's, speaking of swag, there's a giveaway on Instagram. Jennifer Cisco put the link in the chat. If you follow me on Instagram, and you follow Mrs. Nerdrotic's instructions, you could win stuff, and we send it to you for free, no matter where you are. I mean, I know mail's kind of wonky right now in some countries, but if we can send it to you, we'll send it. It's at no cost to you. Free swag. All you got to do is enter to win, and that's at Instagram.com/Nerdrotic. Eric, could you put in Kai's book so we can take a look at it? In the meantime, I'll read. Manowar 665, neighbor of the beast, says, meant to email you in advance, but the tracking says Star Trek has, the tracking says you have some Star Trek tats in your P.O. box. What? No way. Yes, I haven't been, I'm sorry, I haven't been to my P.O. box in a month. The last time I went to my P.O. box, I got in a car accident. Somebody ran a light and hit me. I just got my car back last night, and the accident was in late November. It destroyed the front end of my car. She went through I was coming off a freeway, and then I went under the bridge. It was I-15. She was coming on I-15 South, and she was coming on the on-ramp. She ran a red light, and it was a Dodge, and I turned left as fast as I could so I wouldn't T-bone her and cut her car in half because I have a big FJ Cruiser, and I was able to avoid that, but I hit her front end, and she just crunched my front end, and there was nothing I could do, man. And she's lucky she didn't get T-boned by a bunch of cars. I was ahead of the pack because the light had turned green. We're going through, and she's just like, ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. That was bad. It was bad. Everybody's okay, though. Everybody's okay. And yeah, Lady Greymaster got in a car accident, and she's okay. Her family's okay. There will be an announcement on Friday Night Tights about that. What if I live on a dilithium planet? Can I win? Fat Steven Seagal beat up Pablo Hidalgo. Yes. Basically, if you live in Star Trek Discovery world, if you're born near something, you get its attributes. So if you're born near a library, you've read all the books. I don't know, but no, it's dilithium is a crystal. It's a crystal. So if I'm born near some quartz, then apparently if I have a temper tantrum, I can set off all the quartz near me. And it was supposedly in the galaxy, by the way. To answer the question, the burn happened throughout the galaxy. I don't know if it happened in the universe. They didn't set that parameter. Thank you, Eric. Here we go. Oh, you can't see that. Hang on. I'll fix that right quick. There we go. It's 1999. Should have these things set up in advance, but I don't. There we go. This is Kai's book, Space Crime Domino. An alien from beyond our universe arrives on Earth and interrupts events already in motion, rearranging the unseen threads that weave human lives together. Mike, a spacefaring pirate on a rescue mission, encounters the alien being and a pair of displaced teenagers, Natalie and Will, in a galaxy reeling from the wounds of a recent war. The incident sets his crew on a collision course with a tenuous and unsavory special agent kept in check only by an idealistic officer from the Ministry of Science. This is by Kai, MFS. He is one of the individuals who was in and around some of the places that use the hashtag The Fandom Menace. He's been a viewer of my channel, a friend of my channel for a long, long time. This is a brilliant undertaking. This is no joke. Go buy his book. And if you want to support independent content, independent creators, this is the place to do it. There's going to be a new independent surge. It's going to be hard to find this stuff because with new gates, we get new gatekeepers. You never get rid of the gatekeepers. But what we can do is help each other out as much as possible. Kai has certainly supported me for years, so I am going to support him. And anybody else has a book out there, I don't have time to read entire books, but if you have chapters you want to send, I will eventually get to it. If you got a comic book, a short comic book, I'll, just send me a digital copy. I'll read it if I have time. I'm working on my own creative endeavors. As a matter of fact, I am currently writing a chapter for the author Stephen Walton for Volume 2 of The Phantom Menace. I'm going to write the Doctor Who chapter. It has begun. And he's going to have to do a lot of editing because I cannot spell. So go buy Kai's book. It's available on Amazon today, and it's for $19.99. If you got it, if you got the $19.99. And there's Kai right there. Kai's a good guy. How's that for a plug, buddy? Hope you like that. Apparently, the book was born at the Library of Gender Studies Department. Why bother for £5? Yeah, the book for Star Trek, yes. Henry for £5. Hi, Gary Kurtzman's contract ends soon, right? I miss Counterpart. Will you review Wheel of Time? The books are great, but the show could be super woke. I think the show is going to be super woke. Yes, I will be reviewing it. Absolutely will be reviewing it. I miss the hell out of Counterpart. I love that show. Season 1 was great. Season 2 was good, but it was rushed because it got canceled. But it ends at a good note. If you want to see J.K. Simmons, one of his finest performances, it's on Amazon or Showtime. It's a show called Counterpart. It's bizarre and it's great. Kurtzman has a 5-year contract. I don't think it's been 5 years yet. It was 2018, 19, 20, next year. It ends next year. All right, everyone. Man, it's been 2 hours. I did not expect to go this long, but I'm going to call it. Hope you all had a great day. We talked for Star Trek for 2 hours. That's pretty good. Friday Night Tights tomorrow with It's a Gundam. It's a Gundam returns, 2 p.m. Pacific time. Join me, Comics Division. OMB reviews. I got to get used to that. Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers. Tom from Midnight's Edge and Midnight's Edge After Dark. Maybe Quarterblack. Well, he comes when he wants to. The door is always open for him. And, of course, Az from Heel versus Babyface for a 3, 4, 5, 6 hour discussion about everything pop culture that has happened over the last 2 weeks. We'll talk about Doctor Who. We'll talk about Star Trek. I'm sure we're going to talk about Wonder Woman. That is not a subject that's going away. Listen, it's unbelievable that Wonder Woman draped somebody and that got by hundreds, maybe thousands of people. They didn't even realize they did anything wrong until the movie was released. It's great. Look for a Doctor Who video. And the main thing I'm working on right now is Star Trek Discovery. I want to get that out. And if you guys like that format, then that'll make me hurry up on Picard and get that out faster. I still owe you a Mandalorian review. There's going to be a lot of reviews. That was my, I don't do resolutions, but that's one of my goals is to do more reviews. You guys are responding like you loved the last two. So thank you. Responding like crazy. Thanks to everyone who has subscribed to the channel and liked and shared the videos. It really does help. Thanks to everyone who commented, good or bad, interacted, good or bad. It helps. Thank you very much. It's a little tough time on YouTube right now because of the politics going on. Things had somewhat gotten back to normal, and then yesterday happened, and it just happened. So, yeah, so you probably won't get your notification from your pop culture YouTuber, so you might want to check, help other people out as well. Thank you to Lady Gravemaster for producing this episode. Thank you to Perry Chan, who I think we're damn near at 16,000 subscribers for Nerdrotic Daily. It's unbelievable. We have two videos over 100,000 views, which is unbelievable for a channel that's a month and a half old. It's brilliant. This Nerdrotic Live is doing great. It's almost at 40,000 subscribers. This live stream will be on Nerdrotic Live when it is done in a couple of hours. And that's all. Thanks to the Modrotics. Appreciate all of you. Eric K., Lady Gravemaster, who's in there, and Mark Lerzeth, Chris Persia, Jennifer Cisco, Not Another Red Shirt, Nihilist Shadow. I don't know who. Hi, Jennifer. Thank you for joining, by the way. Lord Thoth. And, oh, there's Az right there. What's up, handsome? What's up, Az? That episode sucked, dude. That episode sucked. All right, thanks. If I forgot somebody, I'm sorry. Thanks again to the Modrotics, and most of all, thank you everyone in the chat for taking your valuable time and spending even a little bit of it with me. I appreciate it. See you in the next video.
Nerdrotic.com.
This episode was not sponsored by The Expanse on Amazon Prime. You can watch episodes today. And it was also not sponsored by The Orville, which is available on Hulu. Season 3 will be coming.